GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good morning, Montreal. I'm Lauren Dupuis. This morning we'll unpack the Health Ministry's call for an independent probe into the Prévost youth deaths and remind everyone to keep conserving water as the aqueduct overhaul continues. Traffic's moderate, though expect delays at Pont Victoria and the Ville-Marie Tunnel. Over to you, Ryan.
Montreal completed a forward-for-forward swap with the Anaheim Ducks, sending Sean Farrell west and acquiring Sasha Pastujov.
The Ducks received Sean Farrell, while Montreal welcomed Sasha Pastujov in the recent player exchange.
Montreal also signed experienced forward Michel Carvinen to a one-year contract, bolstering their forward group.
All right, let's get into it. Here are today's top headlines you need to know before heading out. Good morning, Montreal. The Quebec Health Ministry has asked for an independent inquiry into the deaths of 3 young people at the Centre de Réadaptation Jeunesse de Prévost. The 3 fatalities occurred in March of this year, while the youths were receiving services at the facility, which operates under the Batcho Youth and Family Centers network headquartered in Montreal. Santé Quebec said the probe will examine medical records, staff practices, and any possible systemic failures to determine what caused the deaths. Officials emphasized the investigation must be swift and transparent, and that families will be kept informed of findings. The request follows growing concern from community groups and the families of the deceased, who have called for clarity on how the tragedy happened at the Provincial Rehabilitation Centre. The ministry indicated it will appoint a panel of external experts and expects a preliminary report within the next 2 months.
City officials are urging residents to continue saving water as a major aqueduct overhaul proceeds. The extensive repairs slated to run through the coming months have already prompted a temporary reduction in demand thanks to a cooler, wetter summer. Authorities stress that the reprieve could vanish if heat waves return, driving consumption upward. They ask households to keep fixtures turned off when not in use, limit lawn watering, and report leaks promptly. The city's water department warned that even a modest rise in temperature could strain the system still under repair. By maintaining conservation habits now, officials say the supply will stay resilient against future spikes in use. Officials also noted that the aqueduct work includes replacing aging concrete segments and upgrading pressure-regulating valves, tasks that cannot be rushed. They emphasized that the network remains safe, but the margin for error shrinks as repairs progress.
Earlier today, refugee advocates in Montreal issued an urgent appeal for Canada to open its doors to Haitian migrants after the United States abruptly ended a protected status program. The Trump administration announced the termination of the temporary protection that had shielded hundreds of thousands of Haitians from deportation, leaving them vulnerable to removal. Advocates highlighted Canada's long-standing tradition of offering sanctuary to Haitians and urged the federal government to act swiftly. They warned that without a rapid response, many families could face forced return to a country still grappling with political instability and economic hardship. The call was echoed by community groups across Quebec, who cited recent historical precedents of Canadian assistance. Officials have not yet detailed a specific intake plan, but the pressure mounts as the situation evolves immediately.
The city of Brossard announced that the housing development slated for the Panama REM station area is now on hold. The project, a 30-story tower containing 325 units, was approved for its first phase in November 2025, but the Quebec Pension Fund manager that pledged the capital has suspended its investment. Officials say the fund is awaiting more favorable market conditions before releasing further financing, leaving construction stalled. The pause affects a key component of the city's transit-oriented growth plan, which aimed to increase density around the new REM link. The approved first phase included site preparation and infrastructure work, all of which are now delayed. City leaders have not set a timeline for when funding might resume, and the development remains in limbo as the investor reassesses the market outlook.
Federal authorities lack the power to penalize trucking firms that flout safety rules. An Internal Employment and Social Development Canada memo released Wednesday morning reveals, and the gap is being blamed for a string of severe crashes across the province. The document, obtained by reporters, says the department cannot impose sanctions on companies that fail to meet federal standards, leaving them effectively immune from enforcement. Officials say the inability to act has directly contributed to multiple high-impact collisions this year, prompting calls for urgent legislative change. Quebec Transport Minister Mylene Creert warned that without federal tools, the province will continue to see preventable tragedies on its highways. The report underscores a systemic shortfall that, according to the memo, has left road safety hanging in the balance. Provincial safety agencies have also highlighted the issue, stating that coordinated action between federal and local regulators is essential to protect drivers and passengers. Up next, Laval's mayor urges extending the Orange Line, a vital transit boost for our region. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
If you run a venue, a comedy night, a concert, a fundraiser, you already know the hardest part isn't the show. It's selling the seats. Theaterfiller changes that. In minutes, you're set up with your own ticketing page, QR code delivery, and a door scanner. No technical headaches. No middleman taking a cut of your night. Your event, your tickets, your revenue. Go to theaterfiller.com and fill every seat.
Welcome back. Here, what's happening in Montreal today, and now Ryan Mercer will bring you the local stories you need to start your day.
Mayor of Laval has renewed his call to push the Orange Line further into the city, arguing the project would deliver efficiency 10 times greater than the province's third link initiative. Speaking Tuesday night, the mayor stressed that extending the metro would cut travel times for commuters who currently rely on buses to reach downtown, easing congestion on the main arteries. He noted that the proposal has been on the table for years, yet progress has stalled while other regional projects move forward. By linking directly to the existing network, the extension could streamline connections to the commuter rail and reduce the need for multiple transfers. The mayor's appeal comes as residents grapple with crowded buses during rush hour, and officials say the added capacity could reshape daily trips across the greater area.
3 officers from the provincial police and 2 from the city force have been suspended after a disciplinary tribunal found them responsible for a 2018 high-speed pursuit that left a local woman seriously injured. The tribunal, which oversees police conduct in Quebec, determined that the pursuit violated protocols for dangerous chases and that the officers' actions contributed to the victim's injuries. The decision marks the first time the 5 officers have faced suspension for that incident, highlighting the tribunal's authority to impose penalties for misconduct. The case, which drew public scrutiny when the chase unfolded on city streets, will see the suspended officers remain off duty while the tribunal reviews any further disciplinary measures. Police agencies have said they will continue to review pursuit policies to prevent similar outcomes. Families affected by the incident have been closely following the tribunal's actions.
Yesterday, the Administrative Tribunal of Quebec lifted the suspension that had halted instruction at 2 private institutions, allowing them to resume classes immediately. The decision covers Collège Supérieur de Montréal and Collège Supérieur de Sherbrooke, both of which will welcome students back to their campuses in the coming days. Officials said the order removes the legal barrier that prevented teaching activities since earlier this year, restoring normal schedules for enrolled learners and faculty. Parents with children at the schools can now plan for the return of regular coursework, while staff anticipate the restart of payroll and campus services. The tribunal's ruling also clears the way for the colleges to reactivate any pending registrations and to continue offering their specialized programs to the local student body. Local businesses near both campuses expect a modest boost as students resume daily commutes and patronize nearby cafes and shops.
The Municipal Housing Office announced it will demolish a low-cost building in the Park Extension neighborhood, replacing it with new housing. The structure has stood empty for nearly 4 years after seniors were forced out for repairs deemed too extensive to fix. Officials said the building was judged unsuitable for renovation, prompting the decision to start demolition and reconstruction later this summer. A city review concluded the structure could not meet current safety standards, and the housing office will oversee the redevelopment. The vacant block has become a visible reminder of stalled repairs, and the upcoming project aims to provide fresh, affordable units for the area. Senior residents who lived there expressed disappointment at losing their homes, but city leaders emphasized the need for a safe, modern replacement. Work is slated to begin in the coming weeks, with demolition expected to clear the site before new construction proceeds.
Prime Video is set to add a fresh slice of hockey to the midweek lineup, streaming 7 Montreal Canadiens matchups every Wednesday across Canada. The deal expands the streaming service's new NHL portfolio, giving fans a direct digital window into the team's action without needing a traditional cable package. Subscribers can tune in from their living rooms, tablets, or phones, making it easier to catch the blue and white in real time. The weekly schedule means the Canadiens' Wednesday games will now be part of Prime Video's regular sports roster, joining other league fixtures already available on the platform. For those who have been waiting for a convenient on-demand way to follow the club, the upcoming series promises consistent access throughout the season, right from the comfort of home. It also opens a new avenue for families to gather around the screen for a shared evening of sport.
Let's get a look at your morning forecast with our weather team.
Low pressure rising under a southerly jet is set to thicken clouds and stall any early warmth. On this date, the all-time high reached 31.7 degrees Celsius back in 2015, a spike that rode the tail end of a regional heat wave. The record low, 11.4 degrees Celsius, fell in 2017 during an unusually sharp Arctic dip that pushed the jet south. By contrast, the climatological average for July hovers around a high of 23 and a low of 19 degrees. So today's numbers sit comfortably between those extremes, reflecting a modestly warm but not historic day. Scanning the live radar, the screen is clear over the island, confirming a dry, stable air mass this morning. A band of mid-level moisture is tracking eastward across southern Quebec, guided by the southerly jet at roughly 78 kilometers per hour. It will reach the city around 8 p.m., peak near 10 p.m., then exit by midnight. With that picture, let's move to today's outlook. At 7 a.m., the city sits under thick overcast, temperature 20 degrees, humidity 95%, and a low-pressure center slowly rising as high pressure builds from the west. The southerly jet, streaming at 78 kilometers per hour aloft, is capping the surface low and keeping the air stable, which explains the lack of rain despite the evening band. Winds are modest at 8 kilometers per hour from the southeast, but gusts reach 27 kilometers per hour, feeling noticeably brisk. UV index sits at 3. No precipitation is expected through the day, with highs only reaching 24 and lows holding near 20. A rainfall warning remains active for the Rodin-Joliet and Saint-Adèle-Saint-Sauveur zones. With that settled, let's look at the 5-day outlook. The week ahead stays under a persistent cloud shield. Wednesday brings a high of 24 and a low of 18, with a 45% chance of rain as a weak frontal wave nudges the region. Thursday remains overcast, high 23, low 18, and dry skies as the high-pressure ridge pushes east. Friday warms to 26 at its peak, low 19, still cloud-covered but no rain. Saturday climbs further to 28, low 20, and the moisture pool deepens, setting the stage for a weekend pulse. Sunday drops back to 24 with a low of 17 and a 75% rain probability as the lingering system finally releases its stored moisture. Expect temperature swings of 10 degrees between the warmest and coolest days, and keep an eye on any renewed alerts. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunrise is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic's tight at Pont Victoria and Ville Marie Tunnel, Habs trade buzz heats up, and Dynacare's lab opens. Stay with us, we will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Major restrictions continue in the Ville Marie Tunnel on the autoroute. All traffic is reduced to one lane each direction, and speeds are limited to 30 kilometers per hour. Expect queues building from Rue Saint-Laurent to the downtown core, and allow an extra 10 minutes if you're heading into the city. Pont Victoria sees a minor hindrance. One lane remains open, but alternating traffic slows to about 20 kilometers per hour. Drivers can still use the bridge, but plan for a short delay. Truck traffic over 3 axles is prohibited on Pont Honoré-Mercier, so heavy vehicles must detour via Boulevard Saint-Laurent. The Louis-Hippolyte Lafontaine Tunnel has its clearance lowered to 4.3 meters, affecting taller rigs. Overall, other routes are flowing smoothly. This afternoon, traffic should stay moderate with no further incidents expected. Keep an eye on the main arteries if you're traveling downtown.
Looks like today's cultural calendar is quiet, but stay tuned to the local Sunrise for the events coming up later this week. And now here's Tyler with sports.
Montreal's hockey off-season is anything but quiet. Here's the board. Kirill Marchenko's name keeps surfacing in Canadian circles, and the question the front office is wrestling with is simple. What's too much to give up? Montreal already leads the NHL's top 5 under-25 cores. Adam Engstrom was the most coveted HAB at the deadline. Trading from that depth has real consequences. The Canadiens and Anaheim Ducks completed a forward swap. Montreal sends Sean Farrell west and brings in 23-year-old Sasha Pastujov, a former third-round pick. Both players are restricted free agents, so contract negotiations follow. This is a depth chart reshuffling, a bet that Pastujov's development curve has more room to run. The Montreal Victoire have added a proven veteran up front. 36-year-old Michelle Carvinen signs a one-year standard player agreement. Carvinen was Vancouver's first-round pick, and she brings championship-caliber experience to a forward group that now has serious leadership alongside its youth.
Dynacare in Laval's Biotech City is turning a new page for Montreal's health tech scene. The company has just opened an advanced medical laboratory, the result of an investment of over $5 million. The state-of-the-art facility will run high-throughput testing, genomics, and diagnostic services that were previously only available in downtown labs. By keeping that work right here in Laval, Dynacare is creating dozens of skilled jobs and giving local researchers faster access to cutting-edge tools. The expansion strengthens the biotech corridor and reinforces the region's reputation as a hub for innovation. For Montrealers, it means healthier futures start in our own neighborhoods, and that promise feels personal to every family watching the sunrise. Later, we'll share the uplifting news of Dynacare's new advanced lab in Laval's Biotech City, a boost for local innovation. Stay tuned.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From city hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on GMNA for the local Sunset Montreal's evening newscast.
On the corner of St. Laurent and St. Denis, the rain-slicked streets of Montreal have turned a typical Thursday into a spontaneous celebration of community. As the sky darkened, volunteers from the nearby community garden rolled out bright orange umbrellas and a steaming kettle of café au lait, inviting passers-by to pause under the awning of Café Vivre. A 9-year-old named Maya splashed gleefully in a puddle, her laughter echoing off the stone facades, while an elderly neighbor, Monsieur Levesque, received a warm croissant and a gentle reminder to keep his porch light on for anyone needing shelter. The scent of fresh coffee mingled with the petrichor, and a local violinist tucked into a doorway began to play a soft rendition of La Vie en Rose, the notes weaving through the rain-drummed roofs. In that brief moment, the storm felt less like a warning and more like a gentle nudge, reminding us that even on the wettest mornings Montreal's heart beats together. Stay safe, and remember the kindness that brightens our streets.
On a bright Saturday morning in the bustling core of downtown Montreal, just a block from the historic Old Port, city planners set up a modest table beneath a maple leaf banner and began handing out simple teal-folded surveys. Beside them, a group of retirees from the nearby community center chatted with a young mother balancing a stroller, while a high school volunteer in a bright red hoodie offered a friendly smile and a fresh-baked croissant from a local bakery. The air was filled with the clatter of streetcars and the faint hum of cranes that have become part of the skyline, yet the conversation at the table was anything but noisy. One resident, a longtime shop owner, lifted his notebook and suggested turning an underused alley into a pop-up garden, a pocket of green for cyclists and pedestrians. The idea caught on instantly, sparking a ripple of nods and enthusiastic scribbles across the forms. By the time the sun began to dip behind the glass towers, more than 1,000 voices had been recorded, each a small promise that the city will shape its future together. It's a gentle reminder that even amid steel and concrete, Montreal's heart beats strongest when we listen to each other.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us this morning. Tonight's look at the decision to tear down the long vacant park extension housing block highlighted the city's commitment to revitalization. We appreciate your trust in the local sunrise. Tune in tomorrow for more stories that matter to you.